Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. 12 of South Africa's Cheetah fighters may soon be heading for new hunting grounds over the skies of Ecuador. It has emerged that the South American country is negotiating with South Africa to buy the aircraft, which were retired from the Air Force in 2008. Engineering News contributing editor Keith Campbell is here to tell us more. Keith, welcome to the show. Can you tell us more about negotiations between the two countries and why Ecuador is interested in South Africa's Cheetah fighters?
Well, apparently the negotiations have been going on for a few months now. Ecuador is interested in South African fighters because it wants to modernize its Air Force capability. Ecuador is a country that has always invested quite heavily in its Air Force and has found this extremely beneficial. The country has fought a series of minor conflicts with Peru over the past 50 years. And in every case, the Ecuadorian Air Force was a decisive factor equalizing the balance between the two countries, because Peru is a much larger country with a much larger population, much larger army. The Ecuadorian Air Force was a very valuable counterbalance. Fortunately, relations between the two countries at the moment are very good, but the experience has taught the Ecuadorians the need to keep their forces as modern as they can afford. Now, currently the frontline force is composed of two squadrons. One squadron equipped with 9 Israeli-built Kfir supersonic fighter bombers, and the other one equipped with French Dassault Mirage F1 fighter bombers. Now, the Dassault Mirage F1, also used to be used by the South African Air Force, is about 30-year-old aircraft now. It has been updated somewhat, but is now definitely elderly. And the Ecuadorians wish to replace it with aircraft with more modern capability. But Ecuador is heavily dependent on the oil price. The oil price is not good from an Ecuadorian point of view at the moment. Resources are limited. They have to seek the most economical option, and it looks like the South African Cheetah is the best bet on the market for them at the moment, giving maximum capability at minimum cost. Also, the Cheetah is very similar in its parameters and performance to the Israeli Kfir. Both have the same origin, the French Dassault Mirage 3C. The Kfir is based on the Mirage design, but was built from scratch in Israel, partially to allow it to take an American engine rather than the French original. The Cheetah is based on refurbished and modernized Mirage 3 airframes, retaining the original French engine. But in terms of avionics capability, they are apparently very similar, though the systems may not be identical.
Keith, why did South Africa acquire new aircraft if the Cheetah fighters are still in a good enough shape for another country's Air Force?
Well, the South African plan was always to retire the Cheetah in 2011 and replace it with a new fighter. And when they ordered the Saab Gripen, the program was scheduled to ensure that that came into operation in 2011. The order was placed early, but the aircraft were only required to be delivered quite late. And indeed, 2 other countries, the Czech Republic and Hungary, ordered Gripens after South Africa, but received them before South Africa, and both countries have operational Gripen squadrons now. So there is no change in terms of South Africa's timetable. Now, regarding Ecuador, we don't know what Ecuador's long-term plans are. They may see the Cheetah solely as a short-term stopgap to replace the elderly Mirage F1s and hopefully wait for the economy to recover, the recession to end, and for them to be able to get the resources they need to acquire a much more modern fighter, which they then use to replace both the Kfir and the Cheetah. So yes, the Cheetah is still capable, particularly in a strike role, but in the air-to-air role, it is decidedly outdated. It lacks maneuverability. And if you've ever seen a Cheetah try and engage in aerobatics and air show alongside more modern designs like the American F-16 or the Russian Sukhoi 30, it is very clear that the Cheetah would be badly outclassed in air-to-air combat.
How old are the Cheetahs?
The original airframes are some 30, maybe 40 years old, but they were very extensively refurbished in the late 1980s, early 1990s. So they should be regarded as being more like 20 years old today.
What is the importance of this transaction for South Africa, particularly for Denel and Armscor, who are both involved in the negotiations?
Well, as you rightly say, Armscor and Denel are both involved. Armscor because it is responsible for the disposal of South African defence material like the Cheetahs. Denel, through Denel Aviation, is the company with design authority on the Cheetah and its avionics systems, and is the expertise in maintaining the aircraft. And that is part of the importance, because the deal is not merely the sale of the aircraft, but would involve a contract to maintain the aircraft for as long as they remained in Ecuadorian service. This would be a big boost for Denel Aviation on the international market in terms of marketing its maintenance, repair and overhaul capabilities. As for the sale of the fighters themselves, South Africa is not going to make any profit on that, but it does mean that some foreign exchange will be brought in from the Cheetah project at long last.
Keith, thank you very much. That's the Second Take show for this week. Thank you for watching, and join us again next week for more news analysis.